All right, well, my name is Hunter Patchen, and I want to thank you for clicking on this leadership lesson. You're about to hear from Bill Purvis, a leadership expert and owner of this very company, BP Leadership. He has a lesson for you today that is so on point and timely for the state that we are all in right now. If you want to grow your life, your business, and your leadership skills, you are exactly where you need to be. I hope you enjoy.
One of the big questions I'm starting to get asked lately has been, what's it going to look like when we come back together? You know, what is that road to recovery, and what's the new normal going to be? And I've been asked that a lot lately, and if I could speak on that. So I'll give you a couple of thoughts along that line, things that I'm thinking of that I'm noticing and taking note of and research and that sort of thing, just trying to figure out how do we adjust and how do we set our sail for the next wave, okay? And as I begin to look at some of the ways that I think as a business, you're going to have to kind of put the pieces together and start over again and get maybe perhaps a new model. I'll give you a couple of thoughts, and these are just pointers that I would give you as we kind of proceed and navigate through this water. One is this: I want you to know that every crisis has a way of shaping you. Every crisis, whether you expected it or didn't prepare for it, is still going to shape you in some way. And it's up to you and I to decide when it comes, how are we going to navigate through it? Do we just put our head in the sand? Do we quit? Do we run? Do we just complain all the time? Some people complain, you know, at the beginning, and that's understandable because it was different. But to keep complaining after these many months, at this point, it's time to get a plan and put a paddle in the water and start making some progress, okay? So you got to realize every crisis shapes you. Hopefully it's for the better. Truth is, I think that in a crisis it does this. The goal ought to be that it surfaces our very best and our brightest. It ought to be that during the crisis we figured out some ways to solve some problems. I don't know if you remember, but many years ago, the ice cream cone was made out of a crisis. At the New York Fair, there was ice cream being sold, and they ran out of cups. And they couldn't figure out what to do, but they had all the clients waiting in line for ice cream. It was hot. And so the owner of the ice cream shop went next door where they made waffles. And he said, is there a way that you can roll that waffle so that it can contain ice cream? And that's how we got the waffle cone. It was a crisis, it was a problem, but they began to roll the waffle, and people said, hey, I can not only eat the ice cream, but I can also eat the container it's in, which is a waffle. And all of that was created out of a crisis. What I'm telling you is, when a crisis comes, we ought to say, how does that make us better? How do we adapt to it? How do we evolve? And if we can do that, I think it helps. The way it starts, I think, is number 3 is our attitude through this is going to play a large part in how quickly we recover and we rebound. Your attitude is much more of the major factor in any circumstance, but particularly when things are going bad, than anything else. I have a friend who's a professional fighter, and he'd been a 5-time world champion, and I actually had him as a guest one time, and I remember there was a picture of him in a fight with a real ruthless guy, and it's on all of the brochures now. He was on the ground with this monster on top of him about to hit him, and he looks up and he gives a peace symbol to the cameras. What he was saying is my attitude hadn't collapsed. Yeah, it looks like I'm down, but at the moment, I'm still in control. And he said later, as we had the conversation about it, that he never lost focus, and he kept his mind in the game, even though at times his body was taking a pounding. I believe that regardless of how bad it's been on your business, some of you have got to stop and realize you're still standing. You're still there. That proves something about you, that you didn't go under. So we've got to learn now how to handle that. Keep the attitude up. And number 4, focus on your destiny and not your history. Now, your history is going to be your past and your problems. You can't do anything about that. But your destiny is going to be your future. You can do something about that. So you want to begin now to turn your eyes toward what you can make happen instead of what has already happened. Number 5, returning to as is not a high goal. Fact is, if we've learned anything, we've learned that things can change overnight. So as a result of that, let me tell you a couple of things I do. Number 1 is evaluate. What did we learn? What did we lose? And what were we prepared for? And if you can look at those things, that can help you. Number 2, eliminate. What debt did you carry that you say, next time I'm going to be a little better prepared? I'll have something in reserve. I'll be at least in a better state. If something happens, I'm not going to be caught blindsided, okay? And then the third thing I'd say is to examine. Now, this is going to be the part that you need to do if you're going to survive in the new normal. What products need to go? What people need to go? What systems needed to go? See, the crisis surfaced all of those, and it's just up to us to decide, what am I going to do about that? If you go back to everything as was without making any strategic changes in products or people or systems, you didn't really learn anything. But if you'll learn how to do that now, it may have become your best friend in the end. It will force you to make some necessary changes that maybe you didn't feel the pressure to make before, but now you look at and say, I can really succeed with that. Number 6, refuse to return to the exact model that you had before. Nothing's going to be the same anymore. By the way, some of you created products during this time that I would tell you that you gained some ground there. Keep them. Don't give up the ground you gained during all this time. When the crisis comes, you don't want to say, well, let me throw away all the new things I've learned. I say that to say it like this. A lot of you that are in the restaurant business, you had to do things differently. You opened up drive-through and apps and things like that where they could do takeout and orders. You were not in that business before. You were not prepared before, but now you did. Now, don't give up that. Fact is, if you're learning how to make money with that and you're learning how to maneuver with that, bottom line is that was a friend to you. That was not an enemy. So my suggestion is now say, how do I keep the ground that I gained? Same thing will be true with doctors. You know, I know a lot of physicians that learned how to do online evaluations. The consultations now became online as opposed to come into the office, sit with 35 other people, wait 2 hours, and then see the doctor. This way was a whole lot better. So if I'm a physician, I want to keep some of that. I want to keep that same ground. The fact is there are things that we were taught, things that we learned through this that without a doubt have helped us. Churches are the same. Many churches were caught when this crisis came. They had no online service. They had no web or internet presence, but they stepped up. Some of those churches were living back in the 70s, and now they've finally caught up. They thought they were going to have to close their door, but instead they found a whole new area of ministry they never had before. So what I say is, hold the ground. Don't walk back on the progress that you made. And then I say number 7, as you return, don't feed your fear. Now, it's going to be a new normal. Yes, it's uncharted territory, of course. The fact is if you'll keep evolving, embrace it. In many ways, some of you, I say this not to gloat about it, but some of you, your competition went away. So your field's a little bit bigger now than it was before. Now, you wish your competition was still there, but the truth is you've got a bigger place now that you can work with and a bigger space that you can grow into. So that crisis, yes, it affected us, but did it change us to the point that we will never be the same, or did it change us so that we can be directed now to make even better? And then number 8, be aggressive. Now, I say be aggressive, and I could add a word to that, be aggressive now. The time to play it safe is over. The day of just going along just to survive is past. The game now is for the real players. The people that stayed in it are the real ones. And only the strong are going to survive in this new normal. So my suggestion to you is go all in. You're wiser now. You've made it through the worst part. The best thing I can tell you is this: change those systems, change those products, change those people. But to get a passion to say at this stage of the game, when I'm going back in on this road to recovery, I'm going to go all in. I'm not holding back. I'm not watching what everybody else is doing and deciding, do I get in the water or not? I'm going to be my own and take the wheels of my business, and I'm going to just put the pedal to the metal and go all out. I believe the one who really wants it the worst now is going to be the one that gets it. So that's my word to you. Now, I say this along the line too. If you're a restaurant owner, I've been thinking about this for a while. There have been some things that I would do that would change things for you. Here's what they are. We've learned that camera and that media and that social platform is one of our best friends if we know how to use it. Let me give you an illustration. The old way of running a restaurant has been, by and large, you come, and you taste the food and you look at a written menu and you read over it and see if you like it. And now the social media has given us more of an opportunity to connect. I would go a step further. I would decide that, every week I'm going to use social media to promote what's going on within my restaurant. You know how the waitress normally comes up to the table and she describes all the specials. What if on your social media you begin to say, we're going to describe our special tonight. Tonight we're offering the fish almondine, and here's what we're doing. And you describe it that way, so you give people a chance to go back and replay it and look at it, think about it. You tell them we're open from these hours and here's where we are, rather than just doing just Yelp, rather than just doing the written formats of menus and all that. What if you took them behind the scenes and let them get a chance to see what's going on? Take them through your kitchen, show them what you do and what you have and how clean it is, and play some music behind that or whatever. But give them an experience rather than just information. If you can do that, I think it'll make a big difference. If I was in the landscaping business, even in something like that, well, I'd show my equipment, I'd show some of the projects I've done, the beauty of that. I'd walk around and let them see some of my employees. I would literally take now the social media and all of that we've had to depend on in the last few months, and I would make that a part of my new normal. I would communicate and connect with customers and clients that way. Think of it this way. If a journalist were coming right now and they were going to do a big story on your business, whatever type business it is, how you would take them on a tour and you would show them what you have and what you offer. And if you can do that now, instead of just saying, well, it's over, we go back to the way we were. But if you do that now, I think you'll see a rise in your business. I think you'll find yourself connecting in new ways, and you'll obviously connect to a whole lot larger crowd of clients and customers. Those are some of the things I'd tell you to do along the line of the new normal and how to evaluate that. Show them your business from a virtual viewpoint. This is kind of what I'm talking about right here. This is our producer. This is Denver. Denver runs the BPL podcast. He does the monthly leadership for us and puts all that together, as well as all of our live events. Couldn't do without him. This guy's awesome. Appreciate you, buddy. Talk to you later. All right, and this is the BPL office and some of the people that are here. Let me introduce them to you. This is Alina, and she's in charge of the customer support and daily operations around here. And this right here is Victoria Hall. And so Victoria, tell us what you do.
I'm Mr. Bill's administrative assistant, and I also assist in the daily operations here at BPL.
And we couldn't do without her. Fantastic worker here. Thank you. And then this right here is Hunter Patchen. Hunter, tell us what you do.
Yeah, so I'm in charge of the marketing and the sales here at BPL, as well as I just make sure everything's run smooth for you on a daily basis.
Hey, as you can see, we got a great team right here. And now maybe you feel a little bit more included and you know some of the inside people around here. So I hope that gives you a picture of how to make a connection using your social media. And if you do that in your business, I think it'll help you, okay? Remember now, don't look back at your history. Start looking forward at your destiny. Be aggressive, pursue it, go all out. I believe this new opportunity you have on this road to recovery can become the turning point and the defining moment for a great business and a great future.
All right, well, that was a little bit of a taste on what our members get from Bill each and every month. And if you would like to learn more about becoming a member and having over 200 leadership lessons from him, as well as getting one new one each and every month, make sure you go to our website, bpleadership.com. You can also subscribe to his new podcast, the BP Leadership Podcast. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. So make sure you subscribe to that. Also follow us on social media so that you can stay up to date and in the loop on what's going on here with BP Leadership, as well as when we're going to start our live events again shortly. You do not have to go through this leadership journey alone. Let us help you take your life to the next level and be the best that you can be, because this is where real leaders are made.